This is a nuclear bomb, the most destructive weapon on planet Earth. And I just built it in my bedroom. No, not really. It's VFX. But I did, however, recreate it component by component on my computer so I could understand the fundamental science behind how it works and why something so dangerous might actually be the thing keeping our world from falling apart. This is a standard nuclear bomb, a scale replica of the one dropped on Nagasaki in 1945. But that's boring, so we're gonna be looking at this one, the most dangerous nuclear weapon ever created. But it's not gonna fit in my room. So this is a scaled down model, about 4 to 1. What's special about this bomb is that it's a hydrogen bomb. It works on fusion, and it recreates the process that our sun does to create energy. Let's pause, because I want to construct a story, a hypothetical playground I will keep coming back to throughout this video, so we can actually see how nuclear weapons affect our world. Okay, so it's 2025 and nuclear weapons haven't yet been invented. Country A, think big military, big ego. They are a poor communist country, and they are looking to expand their reign and bring back wealth into the country. They launch an attack on Country B, a small neighboring country rich in oil and agricultural land. They aren't necessarily looking for trouble, but to them it's the best way to bring back wealth. But bad news, Country B has an alliance with an opposing superpower, Country C. This Country C is fairly rich, and they're pretty close with Country B. It's where a big part of their economy gets its wealth. So now they enter the business of protecting their ally. Now back to the bomb, and we'll come back pretty soon. Let's take a look inside this bomb. We can see it has two main components. A standard fission bomb, the same one from the intro, and a second component made of radioactive material. The first component is built of 2 layers of explosives. The first layer is triggered by these wires. The explosion creates a shockwave that quickly compresses inward, which activates the second layer of explosives. The shockwave continues, causing a thick layer of uranium-238, the most radioactive uranium isotope, to compress down, quickly hitting a sphere of plutonium-239. All of this compresses down, heating a mixture of hydrogen-2 in less than a second. It's important to mention that this hydrogen is what makes it a hydrogen bomb, and it's the only part that can't be found in a traditional fission bomb. And now, the nuclear chain reaction starts. Back in our scenario, Country A was just attacking Country B. After a few weeks, Country B is in a tight spot. They are losing the war, so they get on the phone with Country C. Remember, they're good allies. Soldiers are brought in planes, and this war begins to escalate. Country A, the ones that attacked first, are now starting to lose their position. They make a phone to their allies, and they join them. Now countries are joining left and right, each joining a different side. And now we have entered a world war. This is how previous major wars have started. This is a big problem. People are dying, and for what? This naturally leads our superpowers to seek more vicious weapons. But after nuclear weapons are invented, the war suddenly ends. Now let's resume our atoms being split. Atoms get split, releasing neutrons and some energy. The neutrons bump into more atoms, causing them to split, hence a chain reaction. This is what kickstarts fusion, where 2 isotopes of hydrogen fuse into helium. This continues to our second component, which is made of uranium, lithium, and more plutonium. Everything becomes a hot ball of plasma, and for a second, that ball is hotter than the core of the sun, and becomes the hottest place in the solar system. So that's cool, but why is a few pounds of plutonium so destructive? So the war stops, but why? Well, let's go back to the first day before the war began. But we only changed one thing. This time, nuclear weapons have been invented. This surprisingly leads to quite a strange outcome. Assuming country A and country C both have nukes, before country A attacks country B, they start thinking of the outcome, which leads to this. If we attack, then our enemies might attack back. Well, of course it's a war. But if this escalates further than we think, then our enemies might use nuclear weapons. So, well, if they launch a nuke, we will have no choice but to retaliate with a dozen. And they probably won't just fire a single nuke, since they know we will respond. It will be mutual destruction. That's right. The end of civilization. About 100 years ago, a single formula was discovered that made this bomb possible. E equals mc squared was discovered by Albert Einstein in 1905. What does that mean? Well, it means that energy is equal to a mass times the speed of light squared. Now here is where it gets crazy. So if we take this eraser, it has energy stored inside. The protons in the cores of the atoms that make up this eraser are positively charged, and like a magnet, they hate each other. They are constantly trying to escape one another. But there's nuclear force holding them tightly together, which creates this spring. And once you let go, all the energy will be released and the spring will hop. When the neutron bumps into the nucleus, it causes the nuclear force to be broken, which releases the string and the energy. So, how much energy is in this eraser? Well, assuming this eraser is 20 grams, we can plug that into a formula, and E is equal to 0.02 kilograms times the speed of light squared, or the energy inside this eraser is 0.02 kilograms times 89 quadrillion 875 trillion 517 billion 873,681,764, which is equal to 1.797,510,357,473,635 quadrillion joules. With just the energy in this eraser, you could power 50,000 homes for a full year. Now the materials inside the eraser obviously cannot be turned into a bomb, but the materials inside the bomb obviously can. And it's not just 20 grams in there, but dozens of pounds of plutonium and hundreds of pounds of uranium. Now that's a bit misleading. With regular fission bombs, only about 0.02 of the total mass is converted into energy. So only a few pounds of the total uranium will be converted into energy. But fission is great because it converts 0.7% of the total mass into energy. And that's why hydrogen bombs are so much more dangerous. Since the invention of nuclear weapons 80 years ago, wars have changed. Big countries use proxies, they use technologies, they use any way they can to fight each other except actually fighting each other. And it's because there's always this over-looming threat of nuclear war. And even the most insane dictators and leaders don't want to be involved in that. They don't want to be responsible for the death of their race. And it's a good thing. Nuclear weapons are scary. They have the potential to be extremely devastating. But their potential is so fear-inducing that they have prevented some of the biggest disasters in history. It's their fear factor that makes them so important, and what makes them maybe the most crucial invention for global peace ever. Maybe this is a naive or overly optimistic take, but I believe we should be grateful that they protect our world and our life. So, yeah.